Hello everyone, welcome back. I promised you that I would update you on the situation with my wife's R1S. As many of you may know, it was in for service back in February 9th to be exact. And we took it in because we had water in the driver's side floorboard. And it turns out, I had already looked on the Rivian forums and other folks have had the same issue, but it turns out it was the HVAC assembly, and Rivian has a known problem with those where they develop a crack. So instead of the condensate water draining out underneath the vehicle and away from the vehicle, it drains into the floorboard and causes a problem. But that wasn't the issue that caused all the problems with my wife's R1S. The issue was that we called Rivian for service and we told them that, you know, there was water in the floorboard and we need to bring it in right away. And Rivian said the soonest they could get us in was in 10 days. And there was already a smell developing in the car, a mold mildew smell. And we called Rivian back again, told them, hey, you know, there's a smell developing and my wife doesn't really want to be breathing that in. She's got kind of a long commute. And so they said, bring it in 5 days. So we dropped the vehicle off at the service center. So the vehicle sat unmoved there. And I know that by looking at the location on the app. It showed the vehicle was still sitting in the parking lot. So, which, you know, I understand the Rivian service centers are backed up. Rivian really needs to open some additional service centers to take the load off of the existing service centers. However, the problem is that the vehicle sat out there with the water in it for about 2.5 to 3 weeks. And by the time service got to it, there was a major problem with mold and mildew. Now, I'm gonna put some screenshots up on the screen for you to show you. Now, you really couldn't see the water in the floor because we had all-weather mats there. And the water was underneath the all-weather mats. So that was part of the problem, is we couldn't identify it. But we did start smelling a smell. And I just so happened to discover it one day when I was washing the vehicle and I had the mats out. The problem is that Rivian wasn't being forthcoming as to what was going on with the vehicle. We were able to see the progress of our service by looking in the Rivian app, and I'll put those screenshots up there for you now. But basically, things were being added, things were being marked as complete, and then things were being added again. At one point, they replaced the first row seat assemblies, and then we saw the second row seat assemblies, and there was really no communication as to why they were doing this. We wanted to know what was going on with the vehicle. And I guess the folks at the service center were being instructed not to say anything. They were just telling us that it was being done to address the smell. And so fast forward to March, and the vehicle had been in there for about 45 days. And when they started replacing the seat assemblies, they wound up replacing all the seats in the car, the first, second, and third row, in addition to some door panels and some electronic control modules and things like that. You'll see in the screenshots what they had on the work order. But long story short, my wife said, you know, I don't want to drive this vehicle because I don't think they're going to be able to get the smell out. And here's where I think that we made a good decision by going with Rivian. And that's because we reached out to Rivian and we said, look, this is not acceptable. The vehicle's been with you for 45 days and there is a strong mold smell in the vehicle. And my wife doesn't want to drive it. And we don't know where the water went, if it got into electronic components and so on and so forth. It wasn't a quick process, but Rivian ultimately bought the vehicle back. The reason why we opted for a replacement is because we've really been happy with Rivian, and I later found out the reason why they weren't really communicating with us is because they had a third-party company in there dealing with the cleanup of the mold smell. Sorry, my neighbor's doing some weed whacking. But they had a third-party company dealing with the mold smell in the vehicle. So they really didn't know what was going on. They were just supplying parts to this third party so that they could remediate the situation. They did ask me to try the vehicle out for 14 days, and we declined. We wound up speaking to the regional manager for Rivian, and he was a very nice guy, and we basically made our case that we wanted the vehicle replaced. And within 2 hours, he called back and said, look, you know, this is not the experience we want you to have. We're going to go ahead and replace the vehicle. So yes, it was a very frustrating experience. It took a very long time to resolve. We just took delivery on the 20th of May of the replacement, and my wife's R1S was in service on February 9th. So it's been quite a long ordeal, but because of the way Rivian handled it, I would say that I still would have no hesitation recommending someone to buy a Rivian. And it's mainly because of their great customer service. They basically put the customer first, and it's unlike a lot of other auto companies that I've dealt with in the past where they basically tell you to take a number. So Rivian is different in that way. And ultimately, they made the situation right. So there's not too much more you can ask for from a company. And one of the best parts about it is we were pre-price hike reservation holders. And because it was a replacement works like a trade-in. And they gave us the full price we paid for our original vehicle, and it had about 14,000 miles on it. And they gave us the pre-price hike price on the replacement vehicle. We couldn't have asked for anything more from Rivian as far as having a resolution that was satisfactory to us. Yes, it was frustrating, but because of the way Rivian handled it, we would not hesitate to buy another Rivian. I kept my R2 reservation. I've always said more than once that, you know, what separates a good company from a great company is you can have a mediocre product, which Rivian doesn't, by the way, but just to my point, you can have a mediocre product, but if you have excellent customer service, I think you will always do better than a company that has a great product and very poor customer service. So let's go ahead and take a look at the new vehicle. It is a 2024 R1S. It's the exact same configuration that we had before, except that this one has the front PPF installed. I did install a lot of the accessories that I had on the old one, and I also did a ceramic coating as well. So let's take a look at it. Well, so this is it. Looks the same as the old one. I just got done doing a ceramic coating on it with some crystal serum light. Check for my link in the video description of all my detailing supplies there. I have tons of accessories and all my detailing supplies as well, but it looks really good. And it's basically the same truck that she had before. Quad motor, black mountain, and L-cap granite exterior with the 21-inch road wheel and tire set. They don't have the front windows tinted yet. We need to get that done. But because Rivian had to throw out our Liner X mats, they did give us a set of their all-weather mats to replace those with. And I did get some accessories from T-Wraps. So I got my matte screen protectors. Those are a must, absolute must for any R1T or R1S vehicle. I also treated the interior with some Chemical Guys spray ceramic coating. And as you can see, I have the mud flaps on here. Again, that's from T-Wraps as well. The panel alignment on this one looks really good. This one was built right before they shut down the factory for retooling. So very early April. It does have the front PPF. And you see some residue there where my microfiber towel was. But when I look at the PPF install, whoever Rivian has or XPEL has installing the PPF there at the factory is doing an excellent job. The only place I can see any lines are right around the headlight assemblies here. I can see the lines there, and I can see a line here where the front bumper meets with the front fender there. But otherwise, it looks excellent. And for those of you curious, when you get the front end PPF package, they also PPF the side mirrors. Now, something that I've seen from third-party installers and also, of course, from the Rivian installed PPF, the curvature of the mirrors requires them to do two pieces. So if any of you guys or girls out there in the audience are getting PPF done either after you buy it or from the factory, this is completely normal to see this line here. They have to do that, otherwise they will not be able to install it. But it just looks really, really good, especially with that ceramic coating. You can even see the fingerprints there on the side. Now, there were a couple of issues at delivery that I did notice, and I submitted tickets for those. One of them is the passenger side front wheel. These are kind of minor nitpicky things, but you can see that there's a scuff mark there. I tried to use some scratch X to try to get that out. Was unsuccessful. Rivian could not get it out at the delivery center either. So there's a mark there. There's another mark down here, very similar to that mark. And so I submitted a service request, and we'll see what they're going to do about that. The other thing is they did a lot of polishing, obviously, and there's a lot of white residue here. I do have a magic eraser. I just bought some magic erasers from Mr. Clean, and you can use those to remove that wax or polish residue. Just be very careful, folks, if you do that, that you don't get it on any of the painted surfaces. It will severely scratch up your paint. The other issue we noticed at delivery has to do with this trim here. If you look up there, you can see that the trim kind of sticks out right there. And then as you go up, it's flush with the body, but as you get right here, you can see that it comes out. So if I move my finger, you can see how my finger comes out. And then as I move here, right between the two doors there, it kind of pops out. So I submitted a request for that, and we'll see what they have to say about that as well. But overall, the delivery issues were very, very minor, and very happy with the condition of the vehicle when we picked it up from the Rivian Service Center in Gaithersburg.
So that's pretty much it, folks, for the R1S buyback situation. My wife is very happy with the outcome. She was really anxious to get her car back. Rivian treated us very well. They did everything they could to fix my wife's other R1S. And this was actually a really good opportunity for me to use my brand new delivery checklist. Check for the link in the video description. If you're taking delivery of a new Rivian R1T or an R1S, go ahead and download that delivery checklist and use that to inspect your vehicle. It really, really is helpful when you have a checklist that you can go through at delivery. That'll allow you to get any service issues or any minor issues that are present when you take delivery of the vehicle corrected. And it'll also help you identify if there are more serious issues. You may want to reject the vehicle, or you may want to reject the delivery at least until service is able to address those issues for you. So I highly recommend that delivery checklist. If you have any questions, folks, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. put them down in the comments section below. As always, remember to like, subscribe, hit that bell so you get notified anytime we add new content. And thank you guys so much for watching.